Okay, children, now we are going to do the comparison of the magnetic properties of the soft iron as well as the steel. Because as we have studied that soft ferromagnets are nothing but the ferromagnet that is considered as a soft iron, hard ferromagnets are considered as a steel. So we are now going to compare these particular two materials, that is the soft iron and the steel, with respect to a certain or basic definitions or basic properties of the magnetic properties of these particular materials. Okay, and for that this particular curve is showing the hysteresis loop for the soft iron and the steel. Okay, so green color graph, which is filled by the pink color, is the graph for the soft iron. Okay, and the blue color wide hysteresis loop graph is for the steel material. So both the graphs are there in the one diagram so that we can compare it easily. Okay, now we have this information regarding B versus H. Okay, now this what this particular graph explains. Now one by one we will consider the property and we will find out. You can see that here the relating to first one term, that is a permeability. Okay, now permeability for a given H and B, for permeability for a given H, B is more for soft iron than that of the steel. Okay, so you can see that permeability is nothing but, we are going to discuss this factor for a given value of H. Suppose we are going to consider the value of H, then for that value of H, the value of B is more for the soft iron. You can see that from this place to this place, value of B is more as compared to the value of B for the steel, isn't it? So obviously soft iron has a greater permeability because mu is equal to B by H. I can write down here mu is equal to B by H. This value is nothing but the permeability. Okay, so as B is more than B is more for the particular soft iron, because H is fixed, so B is more for soft iron and B is lesser for the steel. So obviously permeability of the soft iron is higher than that of the steel. Now let us go for the second factor, that is the susceptibility. Okay, now permeability of the soft iron is greater, just now we have said. Okay, therefore soft iron has a greater susceptibility. So obviously as permeability is more for soft iron, susceptibility is also more for the soft iron, isn't it? So Xi of the soft iron is greater than that of the steel. You can see it from this graph as well as the definition. Now third point is retentivity. Okay, the retentivity of the soft iron, that is OB dash. So I will show you here, this is O and this is B dash. Okay, so this is O point and this is B dash point. This point is B dash point and this point is B point. Okay, so you can see here the retentivity of the soft iron, that is OB dash, is greater than the retentivity OB for the steel. Obviously the retentivity for soft iron is greater than that of the steel. Okay, now corrosivity, let us go for the corrosivity. Okay, now the corrosivity of the soft iron is OC dash. I will write down here, from here to here is OC dash, and from here to here for the blue line it is OC, isn't it? So here also you can see that the corrosivity of the soft iron is less. Obviously this value is less as compared to this OC value. So we can say that the corrosivity of the soft iron OC dash is less than the corrosivity OC for the steel. Okay, now what is hysteresis loss? Because this is the important point we are going to understand for the comparison between the two materials. Okay, as the area of the hysteresis loop of the soft iron is much smaller, you can clearly see that this area is lesser than that of the hysteresis area for the steel. Okay, therefore hysteresis loss per unit volume per cycle is less for soft iron because area is less, and for steel it is higher because the area is greater. Okay, now this is very easy to understand one by one the properties and compare. Permeability, depending on that permeability, susceptibility, then retentivity by using the graph, and corrosivity also by using the graph, how to compare. And next one is nothing but the area of the hysteresis loop. Okay, so in general, suppose I want to explain it in a crisp way, how I can say. Okay, so we can assume these properties that permeability, susceptibility and retentivity are greater for soft iron than that of the steel. Okay, now corrosivity and hysteresis loss is less for soft iron than for the steel. Okay, so in this way you can keep in mind this particular concept of the magnetic properties. Okay, now we are going to define now how the different materials to be selected for the different purpose. For example, permanent magnet, electromagnet and the transformer core we are going to define here. Okay, so the choice of magnetic materials for the permanent magnets, electromagnet and the cores of the transformers is decided by using the hysteresis loop of the material. Okay, now what are the requirements for the permanent magnet? Okay, so let us go for that. The material used for making the permanent magnets must have a certain properties or characteristics. Okay, first of all, it must be having high retentivity. Okay, so if permanent magnet we are making, then that permanent magnet should be used for a long lasting purpose, or the magnetic induction in that magnet should be going for a long time. It will be remaining in the magnet for a long time, so it must have the high retentivity so that it produces the strong magnetic field. Okay, then second one is high corrosivity, so that the magnetization is not destroyed by the stray magnetic fields. Now stray magnetic field, external some other magnetic fields, okay, or temperature variations, or we can say that minor mechanical damage. That means what? Suppose there is a permanent magnet. Generally we say that whenever we have a permanent magnet, we generally not allowed to fall it through a high height, isn't it? Because when we say that whenever the magnet is falling from a very high height, then it may lose its magnetic property, it may lose its magnetic properties. Okay, but if we are making the permanent magnet, then high corrosivity must be kept into consideration, so that for any external small magnetic field or stray magnetic field, temperature variation and mechanical damage, it should not lose its magnetization, or it should not lose its magnetic induction. Okay, so and third one is called as a high permeability. It must be considered as a high permeable particular medium. In spite of its slightly smaller retentivity than the soft iron, steel is favored for making permanent magnets. Steel has much higher corrosivity than that of the soft iron. The magnetization of steel is not easily destroyed by stray fields. This is very important. Once magnetized under the strong magnetic field, it retains its magnetization for the long duration, and that is only the requirement of the permanent magnet. Okay, so other suitable materials which are used for making this permanent magnet are nothing but steel. Okay, and in steel also there are various different configurations are there by which we can make the different permanent magnets made up of different compositions, such as cobalt steel, such as carbon steel, such as alnico, such as triconal. So these are used for the permanent magnets. Okay, now coming to the another point, it is an electromagnet. Okay, so the material used for making the core of the electromagnet must have the following characteristic. Okay, first of all, high initial permeability. Okay, obviously it must have the high initial permeability, so that the magnetization is large even when the small magnetizing field is applied. That means if H value is lesser, then also it must get magnetized very strongly. So, and that factor depends on the initial permeability. So high initial permeability is the requirement of the electromagnet. Okay, now second one is called as a low retentivity. Obviously, as they are electromagnet, as soon as we switch off the current, then it should not behave as a magnet, isn't it? So the magnetic induction or magnetic magnetization produced in that electromagnet should vanish at the moment we are going to stop the current through the electromagnet, isn't it? Okay, or that solenoid. So therefore it must have the low retentivity. Okay, so the magnetization is lost as the magnetizing current is switched off. This is the important characteristic. Okay, and the next one, we can say that for such all purposes, the soft iron is more suitable. You can see here the soft iron is more suitable than that of the steel core of the electromagnet. Okay, so basically for the electromagnet, soft iron is used. Basically for the permanent magnet, steel is used. Now next coming to the another process, another one use or application, that is called as a transformer core. Okay, the material used for making the core of the transformer must have this particular characteristics. What are they? High initial permeability, so that the magnetic flux is large even for the magnetizing fields. Once we will study in magnetic induction, isn't it, this particular topic, what is the transformer and how the transformers are used for the with the purpose that is called as a mutual induction purpose, isn't it, or the principle of the transformer is mutual induction. Okay, so whenever we are using this particular transformer for the basis of the principle of the mutual induction, then it is very required that the magnetic flux must be large for the lesser magnetizing field, so that they can transfer the magnetic flux from primary coil to the secondary coil. Now next one is low hysteresis loss. As we have said that the hysteresis loss leads to the heat loss, isn't it? Okay, and as the area is more, the heat loss is more. As the area is less, heat loss is less. So we want the transformer core to have the low hysteresis loss. Okay, so that the materials are subjected to alternating magnetizing field of the high frequency. Okay, and next one is low resistivity. So why low resistivity? Obviously to reduce the losses due to eddy current. Now this eddy current concept again we will study in that particular magnetic induction, electromagnetic induction chapter. Okay, so more preferably transformer cores are made up of the soft iron. Okay, so soft iron is used for transformer cores as well as the telephone diaphragms. Okay, so these are the major important portions we are going to consider as an application of the hysteresis, and depending on the hysteresis loop area, the value of B, value of H, value of retentivity, value of corrosivity, we can define or we can separate the different type of the magnets. It may be permanent, it may be electromagnet, or it may be a transformer magnet. Now generally what are the methods for making of the permanent magnet? Okay, so what the process generally is observed for the permanent magnet preparation. Okay, now let us go for that. A hard ferromagnetic material such as a steel can be converted into a permanent magnet by the following method. That is, first one, by holding the steel rod in the north-south direction and hammering it repeatedly. Then second one, hold the steel rod and stroke it with one end of the bar magnet a number of times, always in the same sense, to make a permanent magnet. I think so we have studied this particular concept in the 6th standard or 7th standard, how to make the particular permanent magnet. Suppose this is the piece of the steel and I want to magnetize it. Suppose I have taken the another magnet that is having a strong magnet, isn't it, and it's north pole and this is a south pole. Now we are, suppose this is a north pole, I'm going to rub this particular material in such a way that I'm not going to come back like this, isn't it? Once I'm going to strike it like this, again I'm going to say strike the same pole like this frequently. Okay, so in this way what happened, whatever the magnetism is induced in this particular piece of soft iron, isn't it, or a piece of the ferromagnetic material, now it will convert into a magnet, isn't it? This we have already studied in 6th or 7th standard. This is the method. And the next one is the most efficient way of making the permanent magnet is to place a steel rod in the solenoid and pass a strong current, because we have studied that when the number of turns are more of the solenoid, whenever the amount of current passing through the solenoid is more, then whatever is the material which we are going to keep within that particular solenoid or inside the solenoid, it will get magnetized easily by using the strong current. Strong current means B is equal to mu naught into Ni. So if I is more, the magnetic field produced by the solenoid is also high, and due to that strong magnetizing field, the material which we are going to keep it inside that particular solenoid also will become easily a magnet, isn't it? The rod gets magnetized due to the magnetic field of the solenoid. Okay, so these are the important things we can keep in mind for explanation of how to produce a permanent magnet, how to produce electromagnet, and how to produce transformer cores. Thank you.